of all, I would like to express my heart of appreciation to Principal Chow and everyone here for having us. It is truly a great privilege for us to be here, and it is an honor, and we really want to thank you for that. So, without further ado, let me start my study today. So, the title of the study today is Genealogy from Noah to Adam in Genesis 11. So, I believe every one of you have a copy of the notes with you for the study. For the second study. So, in the first study, we learned about Genesis 3:15. It was the promise of the seed of the woman that God will send a Savior to save us from our sin. And missionary Lauren gave us a lot of detail on that. So I will not dwell on that. But before we continue, let me go through the outline of the study today. So first of all, we'll look at the outline of Genesis 11 from Noah to Abraham. So we draw out our forefather of faith, the numbers of year they lived, and the numbers of year at the age they died. And secondly, we will go through genealogy from Shem to Abraham in very detail. So you are wondering, wow, we are going through genealogy again. And now it's another set of 10 names. So you must be wondering, why are all these people so crazy about genealogy? What is there about genealogy that these people are so crazy with? So when I knew that I'm coming to Dimapur, I was really excited. And I was really curious, so I go and Google this place. So I found that the name Dimapur, it comes from a language called Karachi, and then it says that Di, it means water, and then Di, it means water, Ma, it means big, and Pur, it means city. So from there, it tells us that the name Dimapur means big river city, or the city near a river. And I learned that there is a river that flows through this city. And during my flight, I had a conversation with the person beside me, and then he told me that Dimapur get its name because previously it was colonized. It was a belief that the people here that it was colonized by a king called Dima Raja. So that's what I heard from him. So can you imagine just a simple name of Dimapur? It gave us so much insights. I was amazed of how much insight I gained. So going back to why are we learning genealogy? So inside every single of this name that we learn, God locked His juiciest and deepest secret for us. So what is that secret? What is that secret that God wants us to know? That secret is Jesus Christ. Inside every single of this name, God concealed Jesus Christ inside. So today, through the study from Shem all the way to Abraham, we will find Jesus Christ together. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So, and lastly, we will have the transmission of faith. So the scripture today comes from Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 to 32. So if you look at the first and second page of this study, it actually contains the Bible verse that we will use for the study today. So it contains all the 10 generations from Shem all the way to Abraham. So this book, I think all of you are very familiar. That's your favorite book, right? The Bible. Okay, so the Bible for many people in the world, it seems like a book of history. But for us that believe in the saving grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, we know that it is not merely an account of the history of the Israelites. It contains the history of redemption. So the history of redemption, what does it mean for us? So history of redemption means liberation. You are liberated from something. So it means God's plan of salvation. So the history of redemption actually conceals God's plan of salvation for the fallen mankind. So, is this familiar? So just now we went through Genesis 5. So missionary Lauren actually bring us all the way from Adam to Noah. And now we will go through Genesis 11, which is Shem, all the way to Abraham. So the key focus of the study today is on the preservation and the transmission of the faith. If you look at all these years from Genesis, Adam, all the way to Abraham, it is thousands of years. How does this get transmitted? And the first part of the study, we see how it was transmitted from Adam to Noah. And now we will see how it is being transmitted to Abraham. So, okay, without further ado, let us look at the first part of the study. So from this, the second page, you will see the chart. So this is basically a summary of Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 to 32. So if you look at Genesis chapter 11, verse 10, it says that, in Genesis chapter 11, verse 10, it says that these are the records of the generation of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and became the father of Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. So Shem lived 500 years and became the father of Arphaxad and had other sons and daughters. So the starting point of this is, it tells us that it is the flood. So when we talk about the flood, who does that remind you of? The flood. There is a man. Yes, very good. Noah. And from the study just now, we learned the meaning of Noah. Noah means comfort and rest. Wow, very good. You all remember. Awesome, very good. So, awesome. So, through the Bible verse that we are doing today, so first this is the summary that we are going to do. So first we will write down the names, and then we will write down the age that we got a son, and then after that we will write down the numbers of years after they have a child, and we will calculate the age at that. So it is all from Genesis chapter 10 to 32, so it is not difficult. We will do it together. So first of all, before we start, so just now we remember the first man was Noah. So we need to first figure out at what age did Noah begot Shem. So Bible, it actually have that secret sealed inside several verses. So the first verse we will look at is Genesis chapter 7 verse 6. So in Genesis, so it's in your second page. So in Genesis chapter 7 verse 6, it tells us that during the time of the flood, Noah was how old? He was? Yes, 100 years old. Yes, very good. So the second verse that gives us the clue is Genesis chapter 11 verse 10. And it says that 2 years after the flood. It tells us that 2 years after the flood, Shem was 600 years old. Sorry, this is 600 years old. So 2 years after the flood, Shem was 100 years old. So then, Shem, 2 years after the flood, he is 100 years old. How about Noah? 2 years after the flood, 600 plus 2, so he is 602. So now we know when Noah was 602 years old, when Shem was 100 years old, Noah was 602 years old. So at what age did Noah have Shem? Anyone here like to do the mathematics? 602 minus? 602 minus? Yes, 602 minus 100. So Noah had Shem at 502. Yeah, so you unlock the first secret today. So Noah had Shem at 502. So this will fill out the first row in our table today, right? So Noah, he had Shem at 502. Okay, very good. So let me write down the names of the 10 generations, and then we will continue on. So after Shem, it is Arphaxad. And then we have Selah. And then we have Eber. And then we have Peleg. And then we have Ru. And then after Ru, we have Serug, Nahor, Terah, and Abraham. Yes, Abraham. So in your notes, there is corresponding Bible verses where you can find all this evidence. So let us write down the years when they begot their child. So Noah had Shem at 502. So Shem, he had Arphaxad at 100 years old. And Arphaxad had Shelah at 35 years old. And Shelah had Eber at 30 years old. Eber had Peleg at 34 years old. Peleg had Reu at 30 years old. Reu had Serug at 32 years old. Serug had Nahor at 30 years old. And Nahor had Terah at 29. And then Terah had Abraham at 70. And there is a corresponding verse that tells us when Abraham had Isaac. It is in Genesis chapter 21, verse 5. It tells us that Abraham had Isaac at 100 years old. So these are the years when they have children. So please bear with me, because there are some secrets that I'm going to tell you. Why are we looking at these years? So in the same Bible verse, Genesis 11 verse 10 to 32, you also can see the years that they lived after they had a child. So Noah, the Bible tells us at what age he died. So it tells us in Genesis chapter 9 verse 28 to 29, he died at 950. So how many years did he live after he had Shem? So it's 448. Okay, and then now Shem. It says that in Genesis chapter 11 verse 11, it tells us that Shem lived 500 years. So 100 plus 500, 600, yes. He lived 600 years. Arphaxad, it tells us that he lived 403 years after having his child. So how many years he lived? 4? Yes, 438. And then Selah, it tells us that he also lived 403 after having a child. So how many years he lived? 433. Okay. Now Eber, the Bible will say that he lived 430 years after he had a child. So how many years he lived? Yes, 464. Very good. So Peleg, it tells us that he lived another 209 years. So how many years he lived? Total? Yes, 239. And then Reu, it tells us that he lived 207. So how many years he lived? Yes, 239. Very good. So Serug, it tells us that he lived another 200 years, and he lived total of 230. Nahor, he lived quite short compared to the rest after having child. He lived 119 only. So total how many years he lived? Yeah, 148. Yes. And lastly, Terah, it didn't tell, the verses didn't tell us how long he lived, but if you look at verse 32, it tells us that at what age he died. It tells us that he died at 205. So how many years he lived? 135. So Abraham in Genesis chapter 25 verse 7, it tells us that Abraham lived until 175. So how many years did he live after having child? Yes, 75. Very good. Is it easy? It's easy. So you just need to have Genesis 10:32, and then you will be able to derive all the years. And then we will tell you what is in these years. Okay, so next. You completed, congrats, you completed drawing out the whole outline. I believe after this, it will be very easy for you. So next, let's move on to the second part of the study. This is the most exciting part. The genealogy from Shem to Abraham. What does it mean for us? Where is Jesus Christ in this genealogy? Okay, let us see. Okay, Shem. So, like what missionary Lauren told us before, all these names in Hebrew, when it's translated from Hebrew, it contains a very special meaning. And the parents give the children this name because it contains the hope of the parent. I believe this is Asian culture, and I believe each one of you has your name, and I believe your parents may have tell you what is the meaning of your name. So similarly, Jewish, they put great emphasis in the name because it contains the hope and the secret of the life of that person. So Shem, no one named Shem, and the meaning is name or reputation. in Hebrew. The meaning is name or reputation in Hebrew. So we can see that Noah, having that godly faith after he built the ark, so he want Shem to be able to bring the name of God out. He want the name of God to be widely known across the whole world. So that's why he gave him the name Shem. And if we look at Genesis chapter 9, verse 26 to 27, which is in the third page of the study, it says that, so this verse is very important. It tells us that in Genesis chapter 9, verse 26 to 27. So it tells us one thing. It tells us about, it says that, blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. So Noah, how many sons he had? 3. Yes, very good. Noah, 3 sons. First one, Shem. Second one, Ham. The third one, Japheth. Yes. And this verse actually tells us about God's providence for them. So the first one, out of the 3, there is only one that God say, I'm the God of this person. Who is that? God of Shem. Yes. He says that I'm the God of Shem. He says that I'm the God of Shem. And then Canaan. Canaan is the descendants of Ham. So Canaan is here. What did Canaan get? He says that he will be servant. And then what happened to Japheth? He said that he will be enlarged. Enlarged, it has the meaning of material wealth. Enlarged means that you will have a lot of material possession. So material wealth. But even though Japheth has the blessing of material wealth, it says one thing. He said that Japheth will dwell under the tents of Shem. So they will all dwell under the tent of Shem. So for example, if you are working for someone, if you dwell under his tent, who is more powerful? Is it you or that person? The other person. So what does it mean? It means that Shem is more powerful than Japheth. So what does it tell us? Shem received first the spiritual blessing, God of Shem. And secondly, Japheth, having material wealth, dwelt under Shem. So it means that Shem have spiritual and material blessing. So this is really a great blessing that God has given Shem. Okay. So let us turn to 3 John chapter 1 verse 2. So it's in the verse. Can we read that together? Okay. Can we read that together? Beloved, I pray that in all respects may prosper and in good health just as the soul prospers. So now, each one of you, as you lift up the name of our living God, as you lift up the name of Jesus, it is our prayer that the blessing of Shem will be upon each and every one of you, upon this nation. And secondly, let us look at the 12th generation, which is Arphaxad. So Arphaxad, it is contained in Genesis chapter 11, verse 12 to 13. So the name Arphaxad in your notes, it refers to boundary. So after the flood, Shem saw the effect of the flood, and it was really devastating. The whole earth was destroyed. So Shem, having that faith in God, he said, I want the boundary of God to be established once again. I want the boundary of God to be established once again. So Shem gave Arphaxad his name with that hope that God's boundary will be established and will be broadened on this earth. So let us look at Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. Can we read this together also? And could you help to read 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9 as well?
But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, the holy
priesthood, a holy nation, a people of God's possession. Amen to that. And each and every one of you is his holy priesthood. Because you, all of you, will go out as pastors, as ministers of the word. You are destined to do very, very great things. So believe in that, in this verse that God has given you. 1 minute, some technical error. Okay, we are back. Okay, so, this chart, the chart that we draw just now. So I was telling you that we need to draw this chart because it has some very important information. So what is in this chart? From Shem to Arpachshad, do you see something odd or something that is out of ordinary? Do you see something odd? Something here? Oops. Something here? Do you see something? Do you see something dropping? Their lifespan, right? We see from the first study, everyone lived 900, 800, 900, 800, 900, until Noah, 950. Now, after Shem, dropped a little, 600. And then now, Arpachshad, 400. Half of it. Why? Why it dropped half? Imagine, for example, right now the average lifespan is around 80 years old. Something happened and cut short. Everyone lived 40 years old. That's very scary, right? Something very scary must have happened. So between Shem and Arpachshad, do you recall what happened? Something very big happened. It got to do with rain and it got to do with water. It is the flood. Yes, it is the flood. So between Shem and Arpachshad, there was a huge flood, right? So during the time of Noah, so Shem helped Noah to build the ark, and there was a huge flood. So can you please turn to Genesis chapter 7, verse 11? So it is not here. 7 verse 11 is here. So if you turn to page 4, Genesis chapter 7, verse 11. So it says that in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, on the same day, all the fountains of the deep burst open, and the floodgates of the sky were opened. First of all, it says the fountain of the deep burst open. So for example, you are sitting here and suddenly the ground just burst open and all the water came out. And then it says that the floodgates of sky. So normally it drizzles, right? But when the floodgates of the sky, it means the atmosphere opened up and the water just pouring. It seems like the ground cracked and the atmosphere cracked. So during the flood, it is very scary how the water came in. And when this kind of thing happened, right, there must be some changes that will happen to the earth. For example, when you are sick, when a person is sick, something hit you on your body. After you recover from your sickness, you may feel good, but there is still some side effects to it, right? So after the flood, there were some side effects to the earth. And that is the reason why human lifespan is cut short. So first of all, it is the climate change. So in Genesis chapter 8, verse 22, so this is the Bible verse given to us after the flood. So after the flood, it says that while the earth remains, so the earth remains, they recover from the flood. Seed time, harvest time, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So what is telling us? It says that before the flood, the weather was very, very good. But after the flood, there will be extreme heat. So that is why you have winter and you have summer. So I believe that you have experienced this here, right? Because you also have winter and you have summer, so you experience that extreme heat. And I heard that the summer here is really hot. Is that true? Yes. It's very, very hot. And you have 0-degree winter. So you experience that extreme hot and extreme cold. And Because of that, this has some effect on human health, right? So right now, I think climate change, global warming is a very, very big thing. And if you Google, you will see like there's a lot of teenage activists. For example, a famous one, Greta Thunberg. She's like going everywhere with the boat. Like she's sailing across the world with the boat to tell people that please save the earth. Do not use electricity and things like that. So there's a lot of study that shows that climate change, all this will have effect on human health. For example, stroke. And when the atmosphere opens up, what comes through? The UV ray. So when the UV ray hits on our cell, what happened to our cell? It mutated and it became cancer. So all these things is the side effect of the climate change. And there was a very interesting study that was done in Japan. They do a study because Japan is famous for longevity. People live beyond 100 years old. So they were doing a study and say that which state will the people most likely be able to live beyond 100 years old. And they found out it was Okinawa. Why? Because the temperature is always 15 to 16 degrees all year round. So the cell and everything is preserved nicely. You look at their face, there's no wrinkle, and then everything is smooth and nice. Because imagine if you are always in a very nice weather, of course you will look bright and shiny, right? So they did that study, and Okinawa shows that it has the highest population that goes over 100 years old. So climate change do impact the lifespan. So that is why that after the flood, with climate change, you see the lifespan cut tremendously. And there's another thing that happened. So you remember about the fountain burst open, right? So all the grounds cracked and it burst open. So do you remember the tsunami? Do you remember? Do you heard about? Yeah. So during the tsunami, the ground in Japan actually shifted by 2.4 kilometers. Just because of that movement, it shifted. So can you imagine now the whole earth is flooded? How much movement, how much the earth has moved, right? And this is proven in Psalms 104, chapter 104, verse 6 to 8. So it is in your notes page. It is in your notes. Okay. So let's look at. Sorry, it's not here. But if you are able to, can you turn to Psalms 104, chapter 6 to 8? So we will just. Can you read it for me if you have found that verse? Thank you. Psalms 104, 6 to 8. So this tells us about how the earth changed after the flood. Can we read together? 1, 2, 3. You covered it with a deep as with a garment. The waters were standing above the mountain. You removed their feet. At the sound of your thunder, they carried away. The mountain rose and the valley sank down. So in verse 6, it says that you covered it with the deep as a garment, and water was standing above the mountain. So during the flood, the water really stand above the mountains, right? And then at your rebuke, they hurry away. But after that, in verse 8, that is the side effect. It says that the mountain rose and the valley sank. So now we can see that because of the flood and the movement, you will see that all the ground is already out of proportion. So because of these changes, people are living in a more harsh environment. So if you are always in a nice weather, nice ground, like Okinawa, you will live a very long life. But if you live in a very harsh country, it's mountainous, a lot of valley, you have to climb up and down, and even when you planted things, it is not fertile, then life becomes very hard. And because of that, their lifespan was cut to half. So that is the few proof that was given in the Bible of why the lifespan was cut into half, and it is because of the flood. Then again, another important question. Then why did the flood happen? Why did the flood happen? Why did God want to send the flood? So what is the cause of the flood? So this is written in Genesis chapter 6 verse 1 and Genesis chapter 6 verse 11. So it says that in Genesis 6 verse 1, it says that it says that now men began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them. And 6 verse 11, it says that now the earth was corrupt in the sight of God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked at the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. All flesh had corrupt their way upon the earth. So God said again in chapter 13, then God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come to me. The earth is filled with violence because of them, and behold, I am about to destroy them with the earth. So he said that man was corrupt. So what does corrupt means? Corrupt, it means sin. So it shows us that human lifespan has a close relationship with sin. And if you look at Psalms chapter 55, verse 23, it is at the top of the page, number 4. Can we read this together as well? Page number 4, Psalms 55, verse 23. Yes, so it says that if a man of bloodshed and deceit will not live half their days. So that's why, because of sin, because of the flood and because of the sin, their lifespan was cut short to pass. So what is the lesson that is before us today? So if we are in a place that is sinning before God, that is sinning before our Lord Jesus, then let us repent. Let us truly repent like Adam. Because God said, if we repent, He will hear our prayer and He will forgive our sin. So please remember this. So whenever you sin, let us remember that God is waiting for us to repent. And now the 13th generation, which is Selah. So Afashad, it means boundary. So after the boundary of faith was established, now Afashad wants this boundary to be sent out, to be stretched out. He wants this boundary of faith to expand. So when we say that boundary of faith to expand, what does it mean? It means evangelism. It means to spread the word of God. So if we look at Acts chapter 1 verse 8. So if we look at Acts chapter 1 verse 8, it says that, but you will receive power when Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be my witness, both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria, even to the remote parts of the earth. So this is Jesus' commandment for us today. So just as the boundary of faith has been established in the Hope Institute of Theology today, in Dimapur, let each and every one of us take this boundary of faith that we have received and stretch out and expand to Nagaland and to the rest of India. And generation number 14, Eber. So Eber, it means the one who crossed over. So Eber in Hebrew, it means the one who crossed over. So it comes from the root word Abba. So in Hebrew, some of the words, it was derived from certain root words. And this root word in Hebrew, it means to pass over. It means to cross over certain things. So for Eber, he crossed over the river Euphrates. He crossed over the river Euphrates in order to pursue the path of faith. So, for example, right now you are very comfortable living here. So one day if God commanded you saying that you have to leave this place, you have to cross over River Assam. I heard that that's the biggest river here. You have to cross over River Assam and go to another country. So, in order to preserve that faith, Eber follow the command of God. So, but why? Why did Eber has to cross over? Why did Eber has to cross over? What is happening in this country that Eber has to cross over? During that time, so in Genesis chapter 11 verse 4, it says that during that time, the people in the land was building a tower, and it is called the Tower of Babel. And it is not just a simple tower. So if you look at the picture here, they call this tower a ziggurat. So in those times, in the Babylonian time, Mesopotamia time, this tower, when they built this, It signifies that they want to build a staircase to heaven. They want a link, access to heaven. So what does it mean? They want a direct access to heaven. And it means that they are trying to challenge. They are trying to challenge the authority of God by building something like this. It is not a simple tower that they want to make name for themselves. They want access to heaven. And we know that because of the Tower of Babel, God was very, very, very angry. So, and Eber, knowing that this is not right, he knows that this is challenging the will of God. So what he did, he packed his bag with his ancestor of faith. They packed their bags. And what they did? They did something very extraordinary. So they were here in Mesopotamia region. So they were here. So what they did? So they actually packed their bags and then they traveled 1,000 kilometers to a place called Aleppo. And they built a kingdom called Ebla. And there were historical evidence on this. So in real history, they actually found these Ebla tablets. So it is around 16,000 of tablets. They actually analyzed, and this is found in 2300 BC. And they actually analyzed through this tablet, and they found names, biblical names like Nahor, like Israel, like Eber. And from these tablets, they actually found out that the first king of Ebla is Eber from this tablet. So this actually coincides with what we are learning, what we are seeing in the Bible today. So what Eber did was really great. He moved and then he established his own kingdom of faith there. And through this tablet, it was saying that this Ebla is a kingdom that is quite advanced in arts and in scholarship and in many areas. So Eber and his ancestor decided to separate themselves from sin, and then they actually moved to a place where they can build their own boundary of faith, to preserve their faith, and God did bless them through that. So just like Eber, let us always remember this lesson. Let us always make sure that if we see sinful activities before us, let us have a discerning heart, and let us always separate ourselves and follow the way of our Jesus Christ. So one thing that is very amazing about Euphrates, and this is what amazed me when I studied the book, and this is revealed for the first time by this author. So Euphrates, it means the storage house of heaven. So it means that once we decided to take the step of faith, cross over Euphrates, God will open up to you the storage house of heaven. And there is a very scary verse that is written in Revelation regarding Euphrates. So in Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 to 15 in page 5, could we read this together as well? Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 to 15. So the sixth angel sound, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, one saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. And the four angels who have been prepared for the hour and day, months and years were released, so that they will kill a third of mankind. Yes. So it says that the angel released. So the angels released the judgment into the great river Euphrates. And it says that after this judgment was released, 1/3 of mankind was killed. So this is a prophecy of the end time. So it tells us that during the end time, all of us need to cross over that river Euphrates. We need to decide that we need to separate from all the sinful way and spiritually cross over that river Euphrates to preserve your faith, so that when Jesus comes, He will see you and He will bring you back home. And next we move to the 15th generation. So the 15th generation, he is Peleg. And in Hebrew it means division, separate and split. So according to Genesis chapter 10 verse 25, it says that 2 sons were born to Eber, and the name of one was Peleg. In his days the earth was divided. So The Bible verse and the meaning of his name coincide exactly. Peleg divided. Genesis chapter 10 verse 25 divided. And he lived during that time. So do you recall what happened during the time of Eber and Peleg? What was being built? Do you remember that? Yes, the Tower of Babel. So during that time, so the descendant of Shem, they moved to the land of Shinar, and this is written in Genesis 11 verse 2. And then they erect the Tower of Babel, and we know that God was very angry. And if you look at Genesis chapter 11 verse 9, God confused the language. So that is why we have that many language today. You have, and I heard that in this country, people speak a lot of language. You are very fluent in English, Hindi, and Naganese. So, and for us, we can speak Chinese. So all these language, God confused their language and God scattered them. So this is where that division happened. God scattered the people, and the earth was divided during the time of Peleg. Let's go back to this chart. So we saw that the first part, so we saw that the first part here, the lifespan was cut short. Where is another part that you see the lifespan is being cut short? Between who and who? Which? Yes. Between Eber and Peleg. So Eber lived 464, but Peleg lived 239. So here, once again, because of the sin that was committed during that time, lifespan was cut into half again. So for example, for 40 years old now, 20. So if really that happened in our days, none of us would live past 20 years old. So that is very scary. So because once again, because of that sin that was committed during that time, lifespan was again cut to half. Okay, so we look at the 16th generation, which is who? Friend or neighbor. So why did Peleg give him that name? So we know that Peleg, he participated in building the Tower of Babel. That's why he never left. And then he hoped that his son will become friend and neighbor of the world. So what is a true friend? To you, what is a true friend? A true friend is a friend that will be there for you anytime, any day. Whenever you have problems, they will be there for you. So for example, if one day you go to your true friend and say that, can you die on my behalf? I did something really bad, can you die on my behalf? I don't think there will be anyone who is willing to do that. Yeah, if you ask your friend, if your friend say yes, I will, wow, you are really blessed. So there is no one, but we know there's one person in the Bible that died for us. Yes, that is Jesus. So that is the Jesus that we can find in this name. Jesus is our true friend because he died on behalf of our sin. So as our very talented singer sing today, he said that I am no longer a slave. I'm a child of God. I'm a friend of God. So today, all of you, you are a friend of God. You are a child of God. So as John 15 verse 15 says, he says that no longer do I call you slaves. For slaves does not know what his master is doing. I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard my Father, I have made known to you. So what it means? It means that if we are a friend of Jesus, he will give us his secret. Just like how he is giving us this secret today. The names, the secret that is consumed in each and every one of his name, Jesus is giving that secret to you now because you are a friend of God and a friend of Jesus. 17th generation. So 17th generation, his name is Sarah. And he means vine shoot, firm, strength, and bow. So when you see the bow, what it reminds you of? When do you start using bow? Like in movies, bow. War, yes. You see all these things in those, and like missionary Lauren has said, this is the land of warriors. I believe this shouldn't be, like war is not foreign in your history. So when there is a battle before us, when there is a war before us, I believe right now there may be some spiritual battle or some physical war that is going in your life right now. There is only one way to victory, and that is in our Jesus Christ. That is by depending solely on God. Because in Psalms 146 verse 3 to 5, it says that do not trust in man. Do not trust in man because man, they can change anytime. But Jesus, He is same yesterday, today, and forever. And He will be the same for you. Yesterday, today, and forever. And in times of need, let us remember that our help is God, and let us always call out to Jesus for help. And next, 18th generation, which is Nahor. And Nahor, his name has a very unique meaning. Like we see the very holy name before. Now his name is very unique. Is to breathe hard or to snort. It's very weird, right? You get this kind of name, then you go out, everyone was looking at you and then. That's the meaning of his name, to snort. But why did God give his father this kind of inspiration? He has this kind of name. Because if you look at the years, remember the years that we draw just now? He lived the shortest. How many years he lived? If you look at that chart, 148. Yeah, he lived the shortest. And if you imagine someone that is always snorting and have problem breathing, then his health must be very bad. You can imagine immediately. So, but also through the study today, lifespan, we learned that lifespan has a direct connection to sin. And if a lifespan is short, probably it must have been something that we done right. And in Joshua 24 verse 2, it says that the ancestor of Abraham, they worship idol. So probably it gives us some hint that during those times, Nahor would have worshipped idol and not follow the way of the righteous. So in this, what we learn is that we must always worship our God, and He will give us longevity, He will give us the blessing of life. And 19th generation, Terah, another very interesting name. To delay, to stay. So if you look at Genesis chapter 11 verse 32, it tells us that Terah. So Abraham received that calling from God to leave the earls of Chaldeans to Canaan. So at that time, Terah, he followed Abraham. So they went from the earls of Chaldeans, and then they actually went to Haran. They went to Haran and they stayed there. And Haran, if you look in, you Google and some historical facts, it is a city, a great civilization, a very well developed city. For example, we just came from Kolkata, something like that. Very, very well developed, very good civilization country. So Haran was that. So Terah, he was very comfortable there. You have everything that you need, everything is well taken off. So he was very, very comfortable in Haran. And now he decided to stay, and he decided to delays Abraham's way to Canaan. And Abraham, he has a very, very close relationship with his father. Who here has very, very close relationship with your father? Anyone here who has very close relationship with your father? So if you have or any of your relative or your mother or your brother or your sister, so if you have a very close relationship with anyone, and if you are to leave that person forever, are you able to do that? No. It's very difficult, right? So that is what Abraham is experiencing. His father wants to stay in that place, and he has a calling to go to Canaan. So what is Terah doing? Terah is delaying. He is delaying Abraham. But God came to Abraham again and said, Abraham, leave your father's house. And Abraham, although he's torn apart, he left. He obeyed God's will. He left his father's house. And we know that Terah, in verse 32, Genesis 11 verse 32, Terah delayed and he died in Haran at the age of 205 years old. So Terah died in Haran. So what does it mean for us? Terah means delay. So do we want to be the Terah in Jesus' work of redemption? If God calls us to be in some place and doing something right now, let us obey God, because I believe all of us do not want to be that Terah. But we want to be Eber, we want to be Shem, our forefather of faith, Abraham, Noah. They are the good examples that we should always follow. And lastly, Abraham. So we have reached the last generation. Congrats everyone. So this is the 20th generation, which is Abraham. So Abraham, initially his name was Abram, which means exalted father, honored father. So at the age of 99, God changed his name and gave him the name Abraham. And it means father of multitudes, father of nation. And this is a very great name. It means that you are the father of all the nations. You are the forefather of faith of all the nations. So that is why in a lot of our study, we focus a lot on Abraham. Because there are things that he did right in God's eye. And God wants us to know. So tomorrow our teacher Elaine will share with you what Abraham did. They made him a forefather of faith. So stay tuned, okay? Okay, so now the very last part of the study, which is the transmission of faith, and this will be a very quick one. So transmission of faith, all the way from Adam to Abraham. How did that happen? All the way from Adam. So we know that Adam. He transmits his faith. He lived all the way to which generation? Do you recall that? Just now? He lived with one generation before Noah. Lamech. Yes, very good. Wow. Lamech. So, missionary Lauren told us that he lived 56 years. So, Adam, after he been kicked out of the Garden of Eden, he must have repented. He must have gone to all his descendants and cried out to them day and night. I'm so sad, I'm so remorseful, I was in a paradise, now I need to come out and I need to tilt the ground and I need to work so hard. I was in paradise. So he must have repented and tell to his descendants day and night, day and night. Have you had the experience of being nagged maybe by your mother? Day and night? So Adam, he did it very well. He tells them day and night until it gets into the head of Lamech. So Lamech, he inherited that faith. And that faith was passed down to no other than Noah. That is why Noah had that obedience to fear God and build the ark. And he has a really great faith during that time because out of the whole world, the Bible says Noah found favor in God's eye. Out of the whole world, he is the only one. So Lamech must be very, very successful to make Noah such a great man of faith. And then, Noah, he passed down his faith to one person. And, of course, it's passed down to all Shem. But this transmission of faith eventually passed down to one person, which is Abraham. How? Because they lived together for 58 years. So how these 58 years come about? I plucked from the sky, I put it. Okay, please believe me. Noah and Abraham lived together 58 years. No, okay? Let's find where in the Bible that tells us that. Because everything in the Bible, our senior pastor told us that everything in the Bible, every word that you learn, it must be proven by the Bible. Because Bible is the only word of truth. It is the pure word of God. So let us see how we can get that. Do you remember this chart? Do you remember this chart just now? The years where they became father. So in order for us to prove that Noah is alive when Abraham was there, so what we need to do? We need to add the numbers, right? So Noah, he was 502 when he had Shem. Okay, so now, when Shem had Arphaxad, what age is Noah? 502 plus 100? Yes, 602. Okay, now. Okay, then Shem, he had Arphaxad at 30. Then Arphaxad, he has Selah at 35. So at that time, what age is Noah? When Arphaxad has Selah? 637. Yes, 637. Okay, and then Selah, he had Eber at 30. So what age was Noah at the time? 667. Yes, 667. And then Eber, he had Peleg at 34. So what age is Noah at that time?
74.
Sorry. Oops. Something to go there. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Okay. So we'll go back here. So we continue to add that, right? So what is the age eventually? What is Noah's age when Abraham was born? So if you look at your table, so you add it together. So what age is Noah when Abraham was born? Yes. So when Abraham was born, Noah was 892. So at that time, Sarah was 70 years old, but Noah was 892. So it tells us one thing. So Noah was 892, but was Noah still alive when he was 892? Okay. Is there a verse in the Bible that tells us that? Yes, right. It is in Genesis chapter 9, verse 28 to 29. Can we all turn to that to prove that Noah is alive when Abraham was born? Genesis chapter 9, verse 28 to 29. We must prove that this word that God has given us is true, right? So could anyone tell me when did Noah die? At what age? 950. Yes, very good. So 950. So Noah he lived all the way up to 950. Okay. So 892 and 950. Okay, 892 and 950. Can you help me to do that calculation? 892, and Noah lived until 950 years old, right? So 950 minus 892. So how long did they live together?
50 years.
Awesome, very good. So they lived together for 50 years. So you had it. You have proven that Noah and Abraham did live together. And they lived contemporaneously together. And through that, the faith from Noah was transmitted all the way from the 10th generation, all the way down to the 20th generation. And that tells us that Noah lived very, very long time. Why did Noah live that long? The answer is very simple. It's because God, in order to preserve the faith of Noah, and make sure that it is passed down to the future generation, to Abraham, so that Abraham can become that forefather of faith, God preserved Noah to receive this faith from Noah, because Noah had that great faith that is able to complete the ark in full obedience. And in Hebrew chapter 11, verse 7 and verse 8. Let's read this together. Let's read this verse together. This is a very important verse. So Hebrew 11 is the hallmark of faith, right? All those forefathers of faith are listed there. So right after Noah, it jumps to Abraham. It didn't go through Shem and all this. It jumps right to Abraham. What it tells us? It tells us that Noah's faith transmitted to Abraham. And it tells us that by faith, Abraham, when he was being called, he obeyed and go to the place that he do not know, right? And then he received a great inheritance from God. So, conclusion. So with this, we have come to the conclusion of the study today. So we know that Adam transmit his faith all the way to Lamech. Lamech to Noah. Noah transmit all the way down to Abraham. And Abraham became the forefather of faith. And throughout all this, right, we learn about there is the incident of the flood because people sinned. There is the incident of the Tower of the Babel, because people sin as well. But even though people sin, God never gave up, right? During the times of Noah, during the time of flood, God separated Noah out. During the time of the Tower of Babel, who did God separate out? Evil. God separated out him from the sinful people, right? So during all this time, God will do His work of separation to preserve the Holy One. And I believe that God right now is doing that separating work to set you apart as the Holy One, as the boundary of God. And please believe in that. Okay. Have you been in a relay before?
Yes.
Yeah? Have you been in a relay? Is it fun? It's fun, right? But for you to pass the baton to another person is not easy, right? For that coordination to happen. Because the baton needs to pass from the first runner to the last runner. And if the baton drops, or if you do not pass, then the whole team gets disqualified. So actually, in fact, the race that we are running now as the believer is very similar to that relay. Because all of us, that baton that has been passed down from Adam, that Genesis 3:15, that promise regarding that seed that will come to save us, that will give us that eternal rest, that today we learn that it is passed down from Adam to Noah, that baton of faith. Now it's being passed down from Noah to Abraham. And now it's being passed down to the hands of all of you here today. So the question is, are you ready? Are you ready to run that race for God? Yes. Amen. Yeah. Amen. Yes. Yes. So let us conclude with the last Bible verse, and we will close, because it is a great example. And tomorrow, Teacher Elaine will take on from here to tell you how great Abraham is in his pursuit of faith, so that we can truly learn from the forefather of faith. Okay, let us close with this. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8 to 10. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place where he received an inheritance, and he went out not knowing where he was going. By faith, he dwelt on the land of promise as in a foreign country, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, and the heirs of the same promise. For he looked on the city as foundation, whose builder and maker is God. So let us look for that city. And I believe you are right now building that city here. So God has really great plan for each and every one of you, because you will be the spiritual father and mother to many, many people. So it is our prayer. We will always keep you in prayer that you will become that forefather of faith as well, and be in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Amen. Let us close in prayer.